guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Janu and I talk about all things intentional and low impact living. Welcome back to my minimalism series. And so on today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to start a minimalist lifestyle in 9 steps. So let's hop into the video. First tip is to know why you want to start a minimalist lifestyle. It's because you want to declutter. It's because you want to stop buying so much stuff. What is your why? And when you start thinking about why this is a lifestyle that you want to live, it helps to kind of lay out your goals, and it helps to achieve those goals as well, because when you have a why behind it and they're not just like loose goals, you're more likely to achieve them. So for me, my why was I just wanted to be a more mindful human. I wanted to be more intentional about the way that I live my life. So ask yourself, what is your why? And that will really help to start your journey. The next step is the lose it or use it rule. So for me, if I haven't used something for 3 months, 6 months, I know that it's probably time to donate it or sell it. So obviously when it comes to seasonal items, like maybe a winter coat, of course, you're not going to use that all the time. But when it's things that you should be using all the time and you're not, ask yourself, when's the last time I actually used this? Does this bring me joy, and do I need it? And is it actually just taking up space and creating clutter that I don't need in my home? When I'm decluttering, I like to organize by category. So put the shirts with the shirts, the pants with the pants, and really kind of lay out the things that I have and ask myself, do I need these things? When is the last time I used it? And create a donation pile, a maybe pile, and a yes pile. I know it can be hard to get rid of things. I'm not telling you to go get rid of everything in your closet, but just to really think about what actually brings you joy, what actually is serving a purpose in your home and not just taking up space. And all these are questions that I ask myself and I think have just like made my life better overall. The next step is to get rid of duplicates. So do you have 2 wine openers? Do you have, 30 forks? Like, what do you have too much of and what can you get rid of? You can either sell it or you can donate it. Another great thing is to be able to upcycle items. So if you have a ton of glass jars, can you use those as cups? Can you use those to store flowers? What items can you use that you have too many of that you can either get rid of or use them for other purposes? You know, we're all guilty of having a whole bunch of duplicates in our home. And I think a lot of the issues around duplicates is that when we're not organized and we have a very cluttered home, we tend not to know where things are. And when you don't know where things are and you're frustrated and you're trying to look for it, you're probably gonna just go back out to the store and buy it again. So I think just adopting habits for a clutter-free home will be another video in this series. When you adopt those habits, you really know where things are, everything has a place, and you're less likely to need to go and buy that thing again because you know exactly where it is. Fourth tip is to minimize different spaces. So there are certain places in our home that tend to have a lot of clutter, whether that's maybe a chair in our bedroom, maybe it's our kitchen counter or bathroom counter. But if you have a designated space for everything, you're less likely to designate space that you actually put things back in, because you can have a space, but it's up to you to put it back in where it's supposed to go. And you can start really small. Like maybe one day you just declutter your kitchen counter and take 20-30 minutes to do that. Or maybe you declutter your bathroom counter and just put things away where they're supposed to go. Really help to build habits around just having a clutter-free home and just minimizing the things that you have. So if you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to clean the kitchen counter, and the kitchen counter is no longer going to be cluttered and sticking to that, and then that helps to be able to kind of carry that on throughout the rest of your home. But just starting with one space, I think, is very helpful, because it can be very overwhelming to want to declutter everything in your home. It can take forever to do, but if you just start with one space at a time and kind of work your way around, it's definitely less intimidating and it's a lot more doable. The 5th tip is to dress with less. So I know for me personally, I feel like I have more clothes than I need, because before I moved to my current place, I didn't have a washer and dryer. So it's just not practical to own, like 2 t-shirts, because I would have to go to the laundromat all the time, and that's just not, realistic. So for me, I definitely needed a bunch of just like different shirts and pants. I think now that I have a new place and I have a washer and dryer, which I am obsessed with and I'm so happy that I have, I don't need as many clothes. So I'll probably maybe do a little decluttering video later on. But I love buying items that go with multiple things. So for me, I tend to usually stick to like similar colors like black, white, blue, gray. I throw a color in here and there. It just depends. Usually if it's like a dress, I'm more open to it being a color, but if it's like a t-shirt, I try to stick to like basic colors, which you don't have to do, but for me, I do it because it allows me to have everything kind of go with everything. So if I have a white shirt, like a white shirt's gonna go with everything. A black shirt's gonna go with anything. So I think for me, it's just finding ways to dress with less and finding ways to make a small wardrobe as multi-use as possible. So I love wearing dresses that you could wear with sneakers, but you can also wear with heels, and being able to mix it up, I think really helps to cut down on the clutter and the waste, because the less you bring into your home, the less likely you are to create clutter and to have a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. Which brings us to our next step, which is just to bring in less into your home. Things become clutter because we bring in things into our home. Like if you think about it, when you're bringing in all these clothes or all these whatever the case may be, or beauty products or whatever it is, that's when the clutter starts to happen, when we start to bring all these things into our home. So I think it's just being intentional about what you're actually bringing into your home. And I'm guilty of this too. Like, maybe I'll buy new beauty products, but then I still have old beauty products that I haven't gotten rid of because I'm like, no, maybe I'll use them in the future, which you know you're not going to. So one of the things I recommend when it comes to especially old beauty products is if it's like a face cream that you no longer want to use on your face, maybe you can use it as like a hand cream or use it on your body. You're not just throwing it into the trash. But definitely being mindful of what you're bringing into your home, making sure that you're not just cluttering up a space, but you're also getting rid of things that you no longer need. The seventh tip is when you purchase new things is to purchase high quality items. Now, I know shopping sustainable items can be expensive, which they should be because if people are getting paid fairly, the price should be high. But a great option is to thrift and find things secondhand, whether it's Facebook Marketplace or whether it's a place like ThredUp. You can definitely find items that are secondhand and that are high quality. So I think the best bet is to buy a high quality item that's secondhand. Not only is it more sustainable to buy secondhand, it's also great for your wallet as well. And I just love, saving money, but also looking good and having nice things. The next tip is to digitize as much as possible. So I know for me, I try to get all my bills emailed to me versus mailed. When you go to certain stores, you can have your receipts emailed to you versus printed out. So I'll opt for that because a lot of receipts aren't recyclable because the ink is actually petroleum based and it's just like not 100% paper and it just ends up in landfills. So I try my best to say no to receipts, but a lot of times places, their machines automatically produce a receipt, so it's kind of hard. But it's just finding ways to cut down on paper and just to minimize things. So for me, I just started using Evernote, and I'm actually going to be doing a video on digital minimalism as well, so stay tuned for that. But for me, it's just like trying to find ways to put everything in one place. So I like to use a notebook, but then I also like to have stuff stored on my computer. So it's just finding ways to minimize space digitally as well, not just, clutter in your home. How can you minimize, folders you have on your computer? Is it time to take an hour out of your day and to delete some things? I know for me, I'm always like downloading different things. So your computer can definitely have a lot of stuff on it. So it's just going through and deleting things that you no longer need because it's taking up space and creating clutter on your computer that you no longer need. Last tip is to simplify meals. If you watched my last video, I did a minimalist meal prep where I gave all my tips for meal prepping and how to do it more intentionally. But I would definitely recommend simplifying meals. I think we're all guilty of going to the grocery store and just throwing things into our cart. But I've been working on making a list of things that I actually need, because then you go into the store, you're spending less time because you know exactly what you're needing. You're not just dilly-dallying around trying to figure out what you're gonna eat for dinner. So I think when you go into the grocery store with a plan and you know exactly what you're getting, you're less likely to get things that you don't need, which can end up as food waste. And you're less likely to spend more money than you had planned. Because I know, when you're not looking at the prices of things and you just kind of throw it in the cart, it can be easy to get that expensive grocery bill. But if you're going into the store knowing exactly what you're getting items that are multi-use. So for me, if you watch my previous video, I talked about finding different ingredients that can be used for different meals. So maybe it is a tortilla and You can make it as a taco, but you can also use the tortilla as a quesadilla or use it for a pizza. So it's just finding items that are multi-use, I think are amazing. It saves you money, it saves you time, and it just makes life a whole lot easier. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found all these tips helpful. Let me know if you have any tips on how to start a minimalist lifestyle. I'm curious. Let me know if you've already adopted some of these lifestyle tips. I'm really curious. I really want to know. Please remember that minimalism is a journey. There is no one way of doing it. There's no perfect way of doing it. It's all about just taking the first steps, you know, and creating good habits that create better habits and that create a better life for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.